in May, and it is for everybody. So a lot of times when you hear that announcement, you could be thinking, well, that's for other people. And a lot of people take the training who just want to learn more about their practice. So if you have questions, it could be for you, and you're welcome to ask those questions. I'll happily share with you about those. Come on in, Sandra. I'll share those with you later. Come on in. Alrighty, well, let's just go ahead and get ready to start. So let's begin in child's pose, toes together, knees open, arms forward, and your forehead down to your mat. Once you get settled in that space, begin to just become aware of your breathing. There's nothing even to do about it. And I'm going to sit this right behind you. There's nothing even to do about it, but just to look at it at first. Let it be whatever it is, and from there, we'll start to work with it. When we set up our Ujjayi breath, it's going to be different than this. So don't expect that whatever just feels great is what you're doing, because we're looking to make change and bring heat. So it's going to be different. What to do first is to start lengthening out the exhales. Generally speaking, in our everyday breathing, the exhales are kind of short, and they are an anxiety-producing breath. So we're just lengthening out the exhales. And then different from everyday breathing is a space in between the inhale and the exhale. And no matter how fast the pace might get in the sun salutations, when you have that space, you have enough time to do anything that's asked of you. When the exhale gets short and you don't have that space, then it can feel like there's more to do than you have time to do. Now we build the Ujjayi breath that brings an inner heat. Start by taking a deep breath in and exhaling through your mouth. Just open up the back of your throat. Take another deep breath in. Another exhale through your mouth. Just bring some volume and space to the breath. Keep that and start now just to breathe through your nose. There should be a quality of being able to share and connect with others through your breathing. And we'll be brought present to that again and again through the practice. Listen for the people around you and their breathing. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to completely lock step with them, but there will be a sense of camaraderie in the breath, kind of like an orchestra playing. All the instruments are a little different, but together it works. Keep the breath. Next thing, we'll add some movement. Inhale and lift your body up into downward facing dog. Keep your breath flowing. While you're working with your breath and matching it to movement, settle your gaze at the back center of your mat. It's called your drishti, and it's one of the tools that we use every time we practice. It's also one of the tools that can be taken from your mat and into your life and make a big difference. Move your breath. Consider it's like you're stirring up the room as you breathe. Listen to the people around you. Contribute your breath to the people around you. And then while you're doing that, feel what you feel in your body. So perhaps lengthen the space under your body in this downward dog. Make it wider and make it longer. And see if that gives you a greater access to the stretching from your fingertips to your tailbone. Take one more breath here. As you exhale, you can bend your knees and look forward, and then step up to the front of your mat. Once you arrive, inhale, lift up halfway, and exhale, hang in ragdoll. Keep your breathing and keep your drishti. Then add the foundation. So right now, that's your feet. Set your feet wide and make them parallel to one another. And then while you're leaning down here, crisscross your forearms and put your fingertips on the insides of your big toes and press out. Then slide your fingertips back the arches of your feet and into the little hollow at the inside of the back of your heel. You can do that assist a few times. And while you're doing that, notice what there is to see in your pelvis, the back of your pelvis. As you push into the arch and into the inner soft spot of the heel, can you become aware of the back of your pelvis softening and broadening? When the teachers give you the cue, inner ankles back, this is exactly what they mean. From your toe back to your heel, that energy of movement opening up the back of your pelvis. Now press your feet down into the mat and come rolling up to standing. Once you're tall, stretch, reach your arms up and overhead. Then bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest. Set your gaze on one point, and I'll invite you to share this intention for your practice. The intention being discovery. As you move through each pose, address it like you've never been in it before, and then discover it for what it is right now. 3 times, let's chant. Take a deep breath in. Inhale and reach for the ceiling. Fold for the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway. High plank to low plank as you exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, and breathe. Listen for the room. Inhale and exhale. 2 more. Contribute to the room with your breathing. 1 more time, inhale. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift. Fold. Press your feet into the mat. Stand up and reach. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Halfway lift. Low plank. You can drop right down into it. Then inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Get ready and breathe. 2 more. 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, stretch long and fold. Stand up and reach. A full exhale, fold. Halfway lift. A full exhale, low plank, empty. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Now, while you're in this downward facing dog, put some pressure more on the thumb side of your hand and squeeze the mat with your fingertips. It will help to keep weight out of your wrists. Let's do 1 more deep breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. 1 more time. Stand up, reach high and stretch. Fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. There's a pause at the bottom of this. Then inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. While you're here breathing, just stretch long from your fingertips through your sides to the sitting bones. 1 more time, inhale. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit back, reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, breathe in. Downward facing dog, step your right foot forward. Big lunge. Inhale, reach up. Hands down, low plank, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left side next. Step, anchor your back foot and reach. Hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and breathe. Now, as we go through the next sun salutation, maybe be aware of how when you inhale and you reach, your body fills up, it stretches long. When you exhale, it settles, it softens, and in some way it's stronger. Take another breath. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Inhale, lift up halfway and fold. So chair pose, reach your arms overhead, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank, hold steady. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward. Anchor your foot, lift and reach. Hands down, chaturanga, empty and be patient. Then inhale up, exhale back, left side step. Reach, fill your lungs and take the pause. Then chaturanga, empty and take the pause. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog and breathe. Anytime you want to, you can just take a sigh and just clear out your space, level off the energy, and have a blank slate. One more inhale. On the exhale, your knees, jump to your hands. Halfway lift, fold. Chair pose, sit and reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank, empty. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take your time, right foot steps. Inhale, fill up, reach. Take your time, exhale, low plank, empty and pause. Inhale, come up. Exhale, go back, left side step. Reach up, fill up, look up, chaturanga. See if you can just ride on the wave of your breath. And work together here. 2 more. One more time. Bend your knees on the exhale and jump. Halfway lift and fold. Chair pose with your inner ankles back. Fold to the floor. Halfway lift with your inner ankles back. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward. Lift the arches of both feet as you reach. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, left side step. Both arches lift with your arms. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe and rest. We're going to take one more sun salutation B in a moment, and we're going to keep attention on your feet the whole way through it. One more inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift and fold. Organize your feet. Sit back for chair pose. Give yourself the sense of the inner ankles back while you sit here. Fold. Halfway lift. Look at your feet. Keep them parallel. Chaturanga. Hover there and see if you can be aware of your feet being parallel here. Upward facing dog. Nobody likes hovering there. Downward facing dog. Right foot step. Inhale. Lift your arches. Hands down. Chaturanga. Upward dog. Downward dog, left side step. So lift your arches means the edges of your feet will be down. Hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Body part by body part, we just put our attention there. We see what we can see, make the changes we want to make. And then from there, it draws our attention into our body and into the space. Lift your right leg into the air, bend your knee and flip the pose over 2 feet to the floor. Now keep your breath flowing. See if you can become aware of from your left knee up to your right fingertips, all across your body like that, as much stretch as you can make. Nothing in between it, sort of soft or sagging. Total stretch. Then side plank. Put your right hand down, face the long left side of your mat and stack your body up. As you breathe here, see if you can detect the most stretch from the edge of your right foot on the floor up into your right armpit. Check yourself out in the area of your waist. Usually we need to hug the pit of the belly in so the whole waist gets long and lean. One more breath. Gently high plank to low. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now your left leg, lift it, bend your knee and flip. Just move with the rhythm of your breath. 2 feet to the floor. Come on in. Anchor your feet. Now this time from your right knee to your left fingertips, like you're a string being pulled apart. Stretch from knee to fingers. Can you feel that? One more breath. Side plank. Left hand down. Face the right long side of your mat and stretch. Breathe here. So a lot of us have a common default. We just go into this pose, and for most of us, there's a flex in the wrists and a lot of squeeze in the lower back. Do you feel the squeeze in your lower back? The way to change that is to hug your low belly in and lift it up to your chin. Make your hip creases open, long, and lean. One more breath. High plank to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side crescent lunge. Step forward. So we always do things the way we always do things. Nothing will ever be different. Doesn't mean we have to change the poses. But if we come into this pose like we're discovering it, how would it be right now in your feet and your legs and your hips, your chest, your shoulders, all the way to your fingertips? Reach up and go back, then hands to prayer position at your chest and twist, left elbow to your right knee. In this pose, see if you can discover or be aware of from your back heel all the way to the notch of your neck or to the crown of your head, you're like a string being pulled apart. So heel back, chest and head forward. Pull the whole thing strong. 3 more breaths and take your arms wherever you would like to. Still with the whole of your body being pulled long from heel to crown of your head. 1 more inhale. 1 more exhale. Crescent lunge, set your gaze. Open your body to warrior 2. Now, you may need a breath or two to just settle without just your whole body and your whole attention falling out of the pose. And then start to build from your feet to your legs, to your hips, to your shoulders, all the way to the top of your head. Go deep and low in the pose and deepen the crease of your right hip. Go way low. Then stretch your arms apart and tilt into extended side angle. Go longer, Ken. And your back heel, just move it out behind you. You too. Victoria, right? Or Vivian? Victoria. While you're here in the lunge, from the crease of your left hip all the way up into your right armpit, make that space long. It's good, Sue. Deep, deep hip crease. Lots of length in the right side body. Look for that. Take 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Hands to the floor for chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left side crescent lunge. Step forward. The beauty of having some really similar poses day after day is that's taken care of, and then we can measure ourselves against it and discover each pose, open up new space in our body, and heal the parts that need healing. Deep, deep lunge. And then let this pose be a complete expression from the inside out. So deep lunge and stretch up and stretch back and take yourself to the edge of the pose for you. Elbows reaching, fingers reaching. Reach back like you're touching the back wall of the room. Stay right there. Just 1 more breath in and maybe a sigh, soften your skin. Hands to prayer and twist, right elbow to your left knee. Keep your breath flowing just like you're doing. Now, before you go too far, make the pose light. Pull the pit of your belly in, lift your right hip and pull your left hip back. Keep this one back. Yeah, that's more level. Feel the difference? From your heel to the crown of your head, stretch your whole body apart. Set your arms wherever you'd like to. They might be there now. And then 3 more breaths. Pit of your belly in and twist. 2 more. Last one. Crescent lunge, reach up. Warrior 2. Open to the warrior 2. Stretch your arms. Bring your breathing. If you need to straighten your leg every now and then for a breather, you can do that and then go low in the pose and tilt for extended side angle. A lot of you are using some of the tools you've learned in other classes, and keep that. And know that in your shoulders right now, we're looking for your shoulders to move to your ears and to the back of your body. So across the outer corners of your chest, there's length and space. And then breathe into that space. You got it. Deep, deep lunge. Take 3 more breaths. Lift your chest up and turn to the ceiling. That's it. Complete your last breath. Then hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. In this pose, take a breath, have a sigh, and just take a moment to feel what you feel. Hopefully right now it's feeling like your whole body is reaching out into the edges of your skin. You might find some spots that still need a little work. Take a breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Before we go anywhere, look at your feet. Give yourself the assist of inner ankles back. So slide your fingers from your big toe back to your heels, and you may need to open your heels a little bit. Then with that, sit down in chair pose, hands to prayer, and twist and keep your feet. Left elbow to your right knee and keep your feet. You might need to sit down a little bit deeper to keep your feet. You can open your arms if you'd like, or bind your arms. Explore the pose for wherever you need it to be. Right here, more length. Yeah, give me those ribs back. Yep. Now twist, and don't take that with you. Sink. See how this is starting to lead? Settle it. Three more breaths. You got two more. Open your shoulders. Yeah, right here. Open. Last breath. Nice. Chair pose. Forward fold. Hook your big toes and stretch down. So take a look at your feet here. If you want to give yourself the inner ankles back cue, you can do it. Inner ankles back is easy here when your feet are on the floor. It's a little bit harder when your feet are in the air, and that's where it's more critical. Release your toes, set up for crow pose. It can be done seated or hands down. And if you're used to doing crow pose, we'll be doing 2 sets. I'll give you some variations. So you can do crow pose the standard way. If you're a little bored with this and you want more excitement, take your left knee off of your left shoulder and let it hang in the middle for the crow pose. If the crow pose is like a lot today, sit on your hips and take it seated. You could also take it as a goddess squat, but this would be it seated, wherever you are, 5 breaths. Yeah. So if you're seated, press your arms into your knees and your knees into your arms. You'll feel your core enact when you press like that. When you get to the last breath, it's chaturanga. So all you have to do is lift your chest and drop one leg at a time. Work your way to the chaturanga. Upward dog to downward facing dog. In the downward dog, one breath in, one sigh out, and jump to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Take a look at your feet. Set your feet up with your inner ankles back so you can have them hip width distance. From there, chair pose. Keep your feet and twist. You know, sometimes I can be taught by the teacher to do all that, set it all up, and then as soon as I move into the pose, somehow or another, my body just goes back to the way it always does the thing. So check and make sure it stayed where you wanted it. Butt back. Yeah. Reach your butt back like it's going to sit on the back wall, and then you put your elbow on your knee. You got it. Keep reaching your butt back like it's going to sit on the back wall, but chest to the street, so the whole thing irons out. Yes, you got it. You're welcome to open your arms if you'd like. You can wrap your top arm behind your back even if you want. Wherever you are, 3 more breaths. Bring some vitality to the pose. You've only got 2 breaths. Hold chest open, shoulders open. Stay for the exhale. Then chair pose and forward fold. Gorilla pose is next. You can stand on your palms. They go in front of your feet and tuck under your feet from the toe side. So you can just tuck them under your hands under your feet and stand. If that hurts your lower back, there could always be a tall block you rest your hands on. Otherwise, if your hands are under your feet, move your toes around and the weight around and just massage your hands, your whole palm, and your wrists. So if you wiggle your toes against your wrists and your palms, it'll just stretch them out a little bit. Shake your head out. Now we'll take crow pose for a second round. You know that there are so many variations. Maybe pick something new. If you did the left knee off of the left arm for the last round, this time take the right knee off and let that hang down in the center of the pose. Roy, look at you go. Stay there. Oh, you're in the headstand, I see. Keep breathing. 5 more breaths. You got it. 4, 3, 2, and then it's chaturanga, chest forward. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take a breath in, a breath out, and jump to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Organize your feet. Come all the way up to standing and sweep your arms overhead and keep your feet, especially that left one, right side eagle pose. So wrap your right arm under your left arm, fold your elbows, wrap your forearms. If your palms won't touch, just touch the back of your hands. Then right leg over your left thigh. See if your toes will tuck behind your thigh or your calf muscle. Now keep on breathing and sit down deep. You got it. Bring the breath. For these next couple of moves, you're going to really need to keep your drishti set and your breath steady. So eyes just on one unmoving spot. Keep your arms. Unwrap your right leg. Take it into an airplane leg. Keep your gaze. Steady breath. So now you shift your gaze to another point in the room, somewhere a little in front of you so that it's not a collapse that your gaze is leading you into, but it's a stretch. Then open your arms to airplane arms, chest up, back leg up. So maximum expression, lift. Keep that, hands to prayer position. Half moon, left fingertips to the floor, right arm to the ceiling. Keep your leg in the air. Set your gaze and breathe. The whole time you're here, breathing. From your center line, reach out to the periphery. All you have to do is breathe and stretch and keep your eyes still. 5 more breaths. Breathe, stretch, keep your eyes still. Keep the breath, take the last breath, hands and feet to the floor and hang. Organize your feet, especially the right one. Come up to standing and sweep your arms overhead. Left arm under, keep the right foot in place, squat, left leg over. If any little shifty dance happens, your foot escaped. Steady breath. You can hear it got really quiet. Just let yourself start again with the breath. Just give yourself permission to notice that and start again. Set your gaze. You'll need your breath and your gaze. Take your leg back to airplane legs. Steady breath. You'll want your gaze somewhere kind of forward, different from down at your big toe, depending on what you're working on. And then open your arms, chest up. A lot of stretch in your chest right now from corner to corner, pubic bone to chin. Just like that. A lot of length in your front body. Hands to prayer. Keep your breath and your gaze. Body in half moon. Right hand down, left arm up. If you're feeling kind of wiggly in this, settle your eyes. And then stretch. And then discover what's possible in your body right now. Don't worry about balancing. Instead, just get interested in what's possible. A different stretch, a little more length, a little more space. Before we leave the pose, in both feet, inner ankles back. What will that do to the pose? Forward fold and hang. Sway from side to side. Come on up to standing, arms overhead. Standing bow pose, right arm behind you. Now, if you usually grab your toe, grab your foot. If you usually grab your foot, grab your ankle. If you usually grab your ankle, grab your shin. So somewhere deeper than you usually go. Then knee to the floor, fingers to the ceiling, and set your gaze. Breathe. And then start to stretch front and back. You'll have to keep letting this shoulder go as you stretch front and back. Keep pressing maximum apart. Steady gaze, steady breath. We're going to be in this. And then start to press floor to ceiling with your feet. You'll have to keep letting your shoulder go. Now this is going to be hard without breath. 5 more breaths here. Forward and back, or floor to ceiling. And if you fall out, just come back into it. You've got 3 more. Last one. 2 feet on the floor and hands on your hips and eyes on just one spot. Let your body settle. Let yourself experience the experience you're having. Left side, roll your shoulder back and your palm faces out. So notice that roll back. We don't want it to come forward. We want to keep it back and then pick your spot. You can reach back and get your usual spot and then move your hand one spot deeper. And then steady and settle. Get your breath. You don't want to do anything about the pose without your breath. And then start to reach forward and back. So just consider thumb through chest to thumb right now. You're just stretching that line as much apart as you can get it. When you feel like that's at its maximum, then start making a line from the foot at the floor to the foot at the ceiling. And then every now and then you probably start thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm doing it, or how long are we doing this? And all of a sudden the whole pose goes, and then just get back into it. 5 more breaths. Maximum pose. Go to the edge of it. Last breath. Feet on the floor, hands on your hips, and get steady. Now the gift, a second set. Roll your right shoulder back, catch your ankle. I know, but you were so ready for it. If that last one was just like blazing the trail, now you have this real opportunity. You know what to do. So set it up. If it's making you a little dizzy, you can always do it on the floor or just take a rest. Doing it on the floor would be in tabletop. Now breathe. Take 10 breaths to develop and hold this pose. And then don't be so worried about the 10, just explore. What is it you can discover about your breathing, about your heart rate, your ability to balance, maybe the stretch across your chest? Get interested in something. Complete the rest of your 10 breaths. And when you're finished, feet on the floor and hands on your hips. Now, when you come out of a pose like this, there should be a quality of like, my chest is pounding. I need to get myself together here. And I can see that on some of your faces. And then you know you got to the peak of the pose. If you're kind of like, okay, what are we doing next? A little more in this one. Left side, left effort. So roll your shoulder back. Got to have the opening shoulder. Bend your knee, catch your ankle. Damien, roll your shoulder. Keep going around. Turn your palm. There. Take it that way. Such a tricky grip. Now, if you've got 10 breaths, what kind of magic can you make here? It's going to be hard if you're kind of holding back and holding on for like, let's just get these 10 counted and make it over. It's going to be such a different experience to just reach to the edge and go to the edge of your breath. Because on the other side of the edge is something called the receiving pose, and that's where the magic starts to happen. Take your last breaths, then feet on the floor, hands on your hips or by your sides. Set your gaze and let your whole system just be settled. Let it get grounded. You don't always practice like that. Left foot on the floor, right foot to your left inner thigh for tree pose. You could do this lying on your back if you're feeling a little dizzy. Left foot down, right foot up. So sometimes just increasing the lung capacity can really make you dizzy. All that new energy moving through the body, that can be a little like unsettling. And you got this. You can do it. Take on any expression that you feel called to or you see as an example in the room around you. One more breath, and then step out. Switch sides. Right foot down, left foot up. A lot of times I like to make sure I at least get in one prayer position behind my back, get the stretching in the forearms and wrists. Steady breath. Shoulders open. Shoulders open. I know we've been doing a lot of shoulder classes lately with some other teachers. It's right here in the corners of your chest, like where your pec minor is. It's easy to discover in your upper back. And when you open this and get the bottom of your between shoulder blades area working, it'll hold it open. Look for that. One more breath. Come to the front of your mat. Sweep your arms overhead and fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway. High plank, there you go. High plank to low. You guys got it. I'm watching 2 or 3 different things go on. Upward dog to downward dog, and step your right foot inside of your right hand for triangle pose. Keep your breath flowing through this transition. Whatever it takes to get your body in the pose. Make a long foundation. Right hand on the floor behind your right ankle. If you're stretching from standing, then what you need to do is deepen this hip and get this super long side body. And then come down. Do you feel the stretch through your front legs, inner thigh? Imagine this. Inner ankles back on both feet. What if that assist was occurring from your big toe through the arch to the heel? What would feel new in the pose? One more breath. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the long left side of your mat. Hands to your hips and lift your chest up high and forward fold all the way down. Check out your feet and see that they're parallel to the sides of your mat, and then fingertips on the floor in front of you. If you're feeling like you'd like a variation, you could always walk your feet wider, and take the middle split, a straddle pose. I usually like this pose with my fingers stretching in front of me because from my fingers to my hips, I want the maximum stretch so I can get the space in my armpits and down through my ribs. Your lat muscles are in that area. They get very tight. And right here, you could breathe and make space between your ribs. Take one more breath in, one more breath out. Come on up to standing and turn and face the front of your mat for splits. So you'll bring your left knee back down to the mat, straighten your right leg with your toes pointing to the ceiling. Now, I find it helpful to put a towel or your t-shirt, whatever, off of the mat in front and put my heel on it. Then my pose can slide open. I know some are thinking, I don't want that to happen. Put your hands on the floor and just find what you find in your body. Now, I could have a block under my right hip. I don't want to sit to the side and have the whole thing open. I want to stay right on top where the two sides of the pelvis are level. And then just work with whatever you're discovering. It's never going to get better if you never do it. You got it. Yep, that's it. Perfect. Just work with whatever you're finding. One side's going to be tighter than the other side. Find to stay straight up and down on your back thigh, on your back knee. Can you flex your toes up to the ceiling on the front foot? Turn the back toes under. Yes, straight up to the ceiling. And then what would it be like to have inner ankles back here? So you can imagine that you're able to hug the arch side of your foot against, maybe if there's like a wall in front of you, like Adam's got the wall of my leg here. What does that do different when you have to hug that? Adam's not talking right now. Stay here and just take one breath in and one sigh. Feel what you feel. Then hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Good work. Step your left foot forward for triangle pose, right inside of your left hand. Keep your breath flowing. Take a long stride, a lot of space between your 2 feet. A little softness to the back of your front knee. Little softness if you can, tiny bit of softness, Tina. Then anchor your front foot's big toe down, but drive your front sitting bone, left side of your pelvis, the bottom part of the bone there, back. Pit of your belly in. Draw this in and support your back. There you go. Okay, come on up to standing. Turn to face the long right side of your mat. You can take your arms around behind you and interlace your fingers or hold a strap. Once they're interlaced, give yourself this quality of your hands pulling apart so you get the opening of the corners of your chest and you get the strength right down in the bottom of your traps. Keep that in fold. You'll still be able to fold or drop your hands overhead. If your hands don't move at all from your low back area, a strap would be a great tool. Soft knees. There you go. Breathe. Let me have your hands. Let it go. There, press out. All right, come on up to standing. We'll do the left split. So right knee goes down to the mat, left leg straight forward, toes up in the air, hands to blocks on either side. Start to slide. A block can go under your left hip. Toes in the front, point them up to the ceiling. In the pose, there's this opportunity for quality of drawing your legs back to the center line. So it might feel when you first get in it that there's an out pressure happening in your thigh bones. Suck them back. It'll take your hips from being almost square to really square. It'll bring a little more intensity to your front hamstrings. It's always good to take a sigh in the pose so even your skin feels a little softer, and then from there to feel what you feel. Hands to the floor under your shoulders, step back to downward facing dog. Stretch back. From your fingertips all the way back through your armpits, down through each and every rib to your hip creases, stretch. Fill your lungs up, breathe in, stretch the area more. Exhale and soften. Now come to a high plank and lower down to your belly on the mat, all the way down. Point your toes so your toenail side of your feet are on the floor and press the tops of your feet in the floor and keep them there. Activate your legs. And then fingertips behind your ears, touching your skull. At first, just chin or forehead on the floor and open your elbows. See if you can get that to happen, just opening your elbows behind your shoulders. And once you have that, keep your belly lifting and your feet pressing and lift up, just like you have elephant ears, and lower down. And again, elbows up, then lift up. Stay up, tilt, stretch. Bring your right elbow to the floor and look a little to the left. Take a breath. Feel what you feel. Notice how there's almost like a cross stretch happening in your belly, one side holding you, one side moving you. Come back to the center and lower down. Elbows up and lift your chest. And tilt your left shoulder down. Look to the right. And then across your body, right hip to left shoulder, there's something happening. Left hip to right shoulder, there's something happening. Come back to the center, open up, and relax back down. Take a rest. Stretch your arms out in front of you and your palms can face the floor. Keep your chin tucked and your head on the floor. Keep the tops of your feet pressing down. Take a breath in. Blow all of the air out and suck your abdominal muscles off the floor and up into your body and up into your ribs. You'll notice your pelvis tilts a little bit. Stay right there with your belly up off the floor while you're in this Superman pose. Take a breath in and just relax down. So you don't need to lift your arms and your legs. This is about your belly. Keep your palms and the tops of your feet pressing into the floor. Take a breath in. Blow all of the air out and suck the pit of your belly in your body and up under your rib cage. You'll feel your pelvis tilt. This is your handstand body. This is the shape of a handstand body for you. Ideally, your abdominal muscles are off the floor right now. Relax. We'll give it one more try. Feet and hands stay on the floor. Take a breath in. When you blow out, lift the pit of your belly. You'll feel your tailbone move down to your heels. You'll feel a little lifting up under your rib cage. Hold this. See if you can breathe while you're holding it. This hollow upside down body gets a little hard. And relax. Hands on the floor by your chest, by your ribs, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Stretch back, downward facing dog. Bring your knees to the ground and step your right leg forward. We'll take half camel pose. So back toes turned under, right leg forward. The tendency is going to want to be to press your knee forward and open your hips to the side. So draw your thigh bone back so your pelvis stays square. Then you can bring your left hand to a block beside your left calf muscle or reach back for your heel. There'll be a tendency to want to open here again. Draw your thigh bone back. While your knee presses down, lift your chest up to the ceiling. Just get that opening across your chest from corner to corner, from pubic bone up through your sternum to your chin. Then slide your right hand back to your hip, up your side, past your cheek, and arm by your ear, palm facing the ceiling. Good, breathe. Keep a quality of lifting from your knee up to your chest. Might just be good right here, Tina. Just don't overdo it. With your palm open like that, let there be a quality of like, I'm holding up gravity. See how that opens your shoulder a little more. That's it, Amanda. Now, before you go anywhere, keep yourself steady. Put your hand on your thigh. Then bring your gaze forward, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Stretch back. Other side. Other side. Left leg is the forward leg. These half camel poses are interesting. They seem like, oh, those are easy. And yet they're not. Left hand on your left thigh, from your knee on the floor, all the way up through a lifting. Your back hand can go to the block by your calf muscle. You can see the example here Roy's showing you. Could be taller. And lift. You got it. Then the arm can go by your cheek. So if it comes out to the side, it starts to open things up differently. By your cheek, palm facing up. And breathe. Draw your left thigh bone back and lift. Yep, we want the whole right side of your body from your knee up to your chest, up to your chin, lifting. That's it. Palm holding gravity, so let it face to the ceiling, just like you're holding it, a little bit of pressure, and you'll feel your shoulder blades set. There you go. Palm to your thigh. Once it's settled, lift your gaze, come up, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Stretch back. Stretch back. Jump through your hands and sit down and roll onto your back. You're not going to take a lot of poses here. One bridge, one wheel. Set your body up for the bridge. Put your feet on the floor, press down and rise up, hips up. Once your hips are up, tuck your shoulders to the side, lift up a little higher in the pose. Now, usually we'll bring our hands together under the body, interlace the fingers, and you might need to walk your feet a little closer to your shoulders. Instead of interlacing your fingers, let your wrists be straight and your hands separated, and put the backs of your hands just a little bit right on the insides of your heels. Yep, and press out and let your heels press in. So you want to try to reach right for that hollow area when you did inner ankles back on the inside of your back heel. Yep, and hug into your hands, and your hands can press out into your heels. And then feel what you feel. If your feet are set really wide, maybe bring them in a little closer and make your feet parallel to one another. A little closer, a little closer. Yep. We want the back of your pelvis feeling broad. Can you feel that as you press into the inside of your ankles, how the back of your pelvis becomes more broad? I'll take that as a yes. Come on down. Knees side to side. No answer? I'll go for the yes. All right, bridge pose into the wheel. Come up into the bridge, set your hands, press up into the wheel. You got it. Press down, rise up. Oh, Marianne, it's good to see you back. I saw we lost you there for a second. All right, press down, rise up. Now, while you're up in the wheel, you can imagine those fingertips pressing into your inner heel. Just imagine that pressure and let your lower back be open and broad. One more breath and come on down. Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of your feet together and your knees out wide. And then dead bug pose. Hold the outer edges of your feet and pull your knees back to your shoulders. Legs straight up in the air. Flex your feet. Inner ankles back, so that would make it so your feet look like they're standing on the ceiling and the toes are not turned out. Then bend your right knee, and with your right palm, press against your right thigh. When you're pressing, you might feel how the pit of your belly deepens, and yet something's a little different from one side to the other. This left arm, it can do almost anything. Rest on the floor beside you, stay reaching in the air. Breathe in, and on the exhale, lower your left leg down. Hover there. Feel what it is to feel your abs working the way they're working. Deep breath in. On the exhale, bring it back up. Do that 5 times. So you're moving on the exhales because the exhales deepen and they stabilize your abs when you're exhaling. While you're doing this, notice in your abdominals what's working, what's getting longer. See if as your foot lowers and raises, it can be a question not of what's going on in your leg, but when it's raising back up and you're exhaling, it's more like your abs are drawing that limb back in. See if you can stabilize your abs that much. Finish the last one and then hug your knees into your chest. We'll switch sides. Now it's the left knee bending and your palm pressing against it, right leg in the air. You can leave your head on the ground. Breathe in. Exhale, lower the right leg slowly. Let it hover there. Breathe in. Exhale, draw it back in. Okay, do that 5 more times. While you're doing it, ideally your toes can point straight up. And when it's coming back up, you can have the quality of weightlessness, no work in your leg, because your abdominals draw the thigh bone in. It's possible. Look for that in your body. Blow out. That's it, Danielle. Oh, I saw that. Finish your last one. Once you've completed that, feet on the floor like they are in bridge pose. Put your right ankle on your left thigh and let your right knee drop away from you. Fingertips behind your ears, elbows flaring out wide like you've got those elephant ears. Breathe in, blow out, and curl up. Stay right here. Inhale, and when you exhale, bring your left elbow to your right knee, and then open up. You're going to keep on doing that. Left elbow to your right knee. While you're doing this, we understand that you're working, and what you're looking for is to understand left shoulder to right hip, down through your abdomen, how that's opening and closing. Opening and closing. Take 5 more. All we're looking for is that you start to understand that strap that's inside of your torso, that when you load it and then you explode it, it does the work for you. Finish that little exploration and switch sides. Left ankle on your right knee, curl up. Then breathe in, and when you exhale, right elbow to left knee. Right elbow to left knee. While this is closing shoulder to hip, you might notice how opposite left shoulder to right hip is stabilizing. See if you can just be aware of that in your own body. 5 more times. That's it. Don't even worry about the quality of abs. We're looking for stability and also core intelligence. Finish your last one. Okay, relax. Put your 2 feet on the floor. And then with your knees still in the air and your 2 feet on the floor, step your right foot off of your mat directly to the right and drop your right knee down and into the center line. If you lift your head and peek, you'll see a straight line from your shoulder down to your knee, a 90-degree angle in your knee and your ankle. It shouldn't hurt your knee. If it does, rearrange all of that a little bit until it feels better. Then left ankle on your right thigh and drop your left knee to the side. If that hurts your knee, then you're doing too much. Put a block under your knee so your knee doesn't drop that low. You can still breathe here. You know a lot more about your core right now instead of just a general, generic, suck in your gut sort of expectation of it. You know that the parts work corner to corner, shoulder down to the side of a hip, forward and back. And right now you can select whatever of that is going to work to have you be stable in this pose. And then switch sides. You might notice that you don't feel really called to your Ujjayi breath so much at this point in the practice. And that's okay. And just let yourself start to settle into your everyday breath now, pose by pose. You got it. Let me take this. Sorry, my hands are now very cold and wet. There, and drop that. And keep your belly strong. Feel it? Anyway, let yourself start moving into everyday breath, which is an inhale that rolls right into an exhale. Starts to become a little more automatic, but completely enriched by your practice. Okay, come to the center, hug your knees into your chest, then legs straight up in the air. Just take them straight up in the air, ankles over top of your hips, and let it feel like gravity is sitting on the soles of your feet. And while you're there holding gravity, don't hold it as a resistance. Instead, hold it as a settling. That it settles your legs down into your pelvis. And when that happens, the back of your pelvis, it broadens and becomes more stable. Intend right now for your lower back to open. Hug your knees into your chest. Drop them to the left and look to the right. Find anywhere in your body right now that still feels tight or small or closed or restricted. Put your attention there. Take a deep breath in and sigh. Let it get softer. Switch to the other side. And then on this side, find the spot. Any spot that still feels crowded, unwell. Put all of your attention there. Take a breath in. Sigh, soften, and heal that area. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet together, knees open wide. In studio, you have a cold eye towel near your upper right or left. Place that over your eyes if you'd like. And just do a little scan through your body. Organize your bones so that your lower back feels really supported, your shoulders do, your neck does. And once you have that, stretch your legs out long and wide. Shavasana. Close your eyes. Scan through your body. Find any spot that still feels tight, unwell, crowded. And take a breath in. Exhale and let that whole area heal. Take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth. Another breath in. As you exhale, squeeze your fingers and your toes. Hug your knees into your chest and roll to your side. Bring yourself up into a sitting position. Arrange your body so that you're able to sit tall. Inhale, reach your arms overhead. Exhale, bring your hands into prayer position. Pause right here. Close your eyes for a second. Feel what there is inside your body to feel. And feel it as though it's a discovery. You're discovering how you are right now. And then what would it be if the whole rest of your day, your intention was in every interaction to discover it? 3 times we'll chant Om together. Take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead. Take a breath in and exhale. Namaste. Good work. As always, it's such a pleasure to have each one of you. One of my favorite things to do is come and teach class. It all started from back there. So I'm grateful that you're all here to share it with me. If you have any questions about your practice, I'm happy to answer them afterwards, whether you've been practicing for years or this is just your first week. Have a great rest of your day.